What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
Rick, I think if you asked people what one of their biggest fears is, it's about being alone. People are scared of being alone, don't you think?
But that's a hard question to throw at me on the front side of this
I'm so
thing.
sorry.
I love being alone.
You know what? I do too. Because it's solace.
I think you know what it is. And everybody has their own thing. A lot of people may be sitting at a 9-to-5 job and they're in a cubicle and they see somebody on the other side of the cubicle every so often. But my job, I'm performing in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I'm around people constant. I'm in a city where there's a lot of entertainment. Of course, performing in Vegas, as I did for so many years as well, my life involved people constantly clawing at me.
Well, yeah.
So I say this by sometimes saying the greatest thing is the silence. Now in Branson, my favorite time of the year is January through the first part of March.
Okay.
Because Branson pretty much closes down shop. It's too cold. The weather comes in. There's snow. There's ice. You just can't get into the area, and the public don't show up. I enjoy just driving around or casually just not leaving the house, but there's nothing going on.
So that means you can go to Walmart and not get recognized.
Oh, it's great. It's like, this is brilliant. I make no money.
No, there's the other side of that one.
But anyway, no, that's why I get out and tour. And this January, I'll be over in California, your neck of the woods, presenting. Do you know where the McCollum Theater is?
I absolutely know where it is. It's in one of my favorite places in the universe.
Yes.
It's in Palm Desert.
Oh.
Out by Palm Springs, and it's beautiful theater.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you that this podcast is obviously going to be dating us for this particular show, but you know what? I'm here to sell the show there as well. Yeah. So if it's over and done with, it's just something good to chat about and tell people that across the country, I perform at theaters everywhere. In fact, this next year, there's probably going to be 20 or 30 theaters beyond Branson.
Wow.
I'll be performing at. And McCollum, of course, Tammy, I can take good care of you. But there, it's now September. And in January, I'm doing the show. I'm doing 2 nights. 2 nights in a massive theater that presents Broadway-style shows.
It does.
And we're already over 60% sold on both nights.
I am not surprised.
I am.
I'm not. First off, the Palm Springs, Palm Desert area, people don't think of it as an entertainment kind of little mecca, but it really is. Fantastic entertainment, great venues, lots of lovely people there. And you talked about snow a little earlier in Branson in January. Well, they have in Palm Desert, Cathedral City, Palm Springs, they have the snowbirds. People who want to get away from that snow. In January, February, and March, when the weather is nice in the low 70s out there, sunny, beautiful, people are getting away from the snow, you've got a huge, tourist population out there.
Well, that's what seems to be happening. So thank you for the support out that way. And tell me, we're going to get you out to a show whether you like it or not.
You do not have to argue much with me to get me out to Palm Springs.
Okay.
That is truly my favorite place to go. Any old time. And, if you're in Los Angeles and you're thinking about it, my goodness, you can make it out to Palm Springs from L.A. 2.5 hours.
Is it? Oh.
Straight shot out the 10. There you go.
I'm also doing Palos Verdes.
Okay.
And
Palos Verdes.
Lancaster.
Okay. Palos Verdes, another fantastic place.
Yeah.
And Lancaster is another area that if you went to Lancaster 20 years ago, you kind of went, okay, Lancaster. But I was up there about 6 months ago. I was like, my gosh, where did this city come from? It just boomed. So I'm not surprised that they have a big venue up there now for you. So that should be
I'm actually
fun.
looking forward. I'm going to be thrilled. So
Yeah.
keep my January busy. Then I'll be off to Europe in February.
Oh, my goodness.
And then back in Branson in March.
Wow. And except for the trip to Europe, are you driving the truck?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Everywhere. So if you see this guy driving down the road, you won't have any idea it's me. But I just want to let you know, as far as the trucking industry goes, I really enjoy driving my show. I know that while I'm driving, my show is right behind me. And if I get there, the show gets there.
Okay. I still don't know how you maneuver a semi. I never would want to try it.
Slowly.
I give you great kudos for managing it.
Slowly. I'll tell you on the inside track, it is dangerous on the highway. Mm-hmm. I'm not on the highway more than maybe 3 months a year driving, but I can tell you that most of the fender benders for the trucks happens in the truck stops.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because guys, they go in there, men and women. It's a good mix between drivers now out there today, and they're always backing up into these spots, and they're taking off the truck to the left of them or to the right of them, and it's a bother. I mean, more so than not, they just get banged up. I mean, it's tight in there, and if you're not a good driver backing up, you're going to take out another truck. So,
well, I would not even want to try it. To all the truckers who listen, you guys are amazing maneuvering that gigantic beast. So, and Rick, I still cannot imagine you driving that thing everywhere, but I know you do. That's going to be your second career. Somewhere down the line. No, you're going to have a good time.
It's really hard to read. I know that there's a lot of trucking companies right now struggling. Sad to see. They're letting hundreds, if not thousands, of truckers going here and there. And I'm like, well, if I was going to be in part of the trucking industry, how do I stay involved? I mean, it's such a challenging, imbalanced world right now. It is so difficult to see so many people struggling, even in the trucking industry.
You try to figure out right now what's the best thing to do about anything, and you just come up blank. I likened it. I was talking to somebody the other day. I likened it like we're on the other side of the looking glass. When Alice goes through the looking glass, everything is upside down and sideways and doesn't make sense. That's kind of how I feel nowadays.
We're on the other side.
Yeah, we're on the other side, and it's like it looks like where I used to be, but it sure doesn't act like it. What's going on here? It's confusing.
Yes, it is.
I think it contributes to making you feel like you're alone sometimes, because you just kind of feel, I think a lot of people feel lost.
Was that part of the question on the front side of this entire podcast?
Kind of, sort of.
Feeling alone?
Kind of, sort of, because that is the chapter we're talking about.
Yes. Well, the chapter does say you're not alone.
Exactly.
I'm so privileged to, sometimes they're cliche, and I understand when I say be kinder to everyone. You have no idea what they're going through, or we're in this together, or we need to follow our dreams together. We can't do this alone. No man or woman is an island. You see all that trend. You see it all going, those things kind of said. It's the truth, because we do often feel as though we are alone. And I've had that discussion even with Tara the other day driving in the car. I myself do not have my act together. If you think I do, I am the person who needs to listen to me more than anyone. So for every person out there listening to me now, every single performance I've done, all of my preparation, after all of my hopes and wishes that everything goes true, I still lack some confidence. It is scary. And you need to go out there. And the hardest part in this whole chapter, and it's a short one, it's a short one because it's very direct. You need to put one foot in front of the other. And soon you'll be walking out the door. Quick. Where's that from? Do you know?
I don't know.
Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. Believe it or not, I believe that is from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, my goodness.
And the stop action that we used to watch when we were little children at Christmas. And they had the different toys and other animals, and they were having trouble walking, and they said, all you need to do is put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door.
You see, I was terrified for a moment there, Rick, that you were going to say it was from a Taylor Swift song.
No, never.
I was terrified. I was shaking. I was thinking, no,
Okay.
please, no.
Now, we know each other,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know each other. In fact, I'm going to bring up a topic, and you may have a different thought process on
Okay.
it. But I'm going to share it now because I think it needs to be said.
Okay.
I am forced to play a Taylor Swift song sometime in my
Yes.
my on-air personality,
Yes.
however you want to call me.
Yes.
And I need to present that song.
Yes.
In fact, they want me to present more, and I said, no, I'll do one.
Good.
And it's just, I just never was into Taylor Swift. And the more I listen to it, this is horrible, is the more I kind of like it. And that really bothers
You're becoming a Swiftie? Oh my goodness.
No. And the reason why I bring it up now is we know that we are in the middle of debates and we are in the middle of voting for the next president and choosing from so many different challenges. And so here's my get. I really believe, and everybody needs to understand, because I am not a superstar. In my industry, magicians know me, that I can walk into a magic store or the magic castle and I'm swarmed. The magic world knows me, so I feel kind of important.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Master illusionist, illusionist of the
but
world.
we have a problem today with all of these people, and I can tell you Taylor has her own problems. She has her own issues. She is human, just like the rest of us. And I know she has the Swifties and the millions of people that are following her. And here's my issue. My issue is for those of us who are not political. We are political. We know who we're going to vote for. We want to follow our own personal heart.
Right.
But when the Taylors of the world get out there and they tell us what to do or how they're voting, and that's on both sides of the fence. I'm not talking just her, but I'm giving an example.
Right.
She was one of those that is so well known, saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to vote. And they cause people or sway people to vote in that direction because they want to be like Taylor Swift. And my point is, no celebrity should sway you right or left as to who you are and how you vote. And the hard part is to be strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet and take the time to decide for yourself. But you see celebrities everywhere going out there and saying, I'm going to vote this or I'm going to vote that, trying to sway the public. And they themselves have no better clue than you with their license. So I'm going to give you the soapbox. That's my get. And it's really tough to watch as though they really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I am 100% in agreement with you. It's like, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. Somebody told me a long time ago, because people are always going to have an opinion and some people are going to try to shove it on you, or somebody who has a world stage will come out and talk about it. Consider the source. Consider the source. And I explain this to my students all the time. When somebody says something to you, you have to think, do they have the expertise or the inside knowledge to really say that with any kind of validation? And if they don't, then you can walk away from it. Now, if they're an expert in the field you're going into, maybe you better listen to them because they're proven in the area in which they're talking. Right. But Taylor Swift, again, she's not the only one. She just happens to be the one right now we're talking about. She doesn't know anything more about politics than you and I.
Same thing with football. I mean, if you want to take it there, now she's at every football game, but I don't think before she went to football or was with Kelsey that she knew the difference between the football and the players on the field.
Exactly. She's probably learned a little on that, so I might even listen to her a tiny bit there. But no, I don't like it when people blindly follow somebody else for no apparent reason other than they want to be like them or they like them. That makes me crazy. We've all got our own brain, and sometimes we don't use it. So, I wish celebrities would, as I said, stay in your own lane, expertise in the area you're an expert in, acting, singing, whatever you do. But when you really go out there,
they can chat with those that are close to them. They can make some statements here or there. But when they go out there and they actually say, "Do this. This is what I'm doing. Listen to me," and attempt to try and sway the masses.
That irks me too. It irks me too.
And I'm sorry that we had to use Taylor in that example. But
she's getting used to it with us, I think.
Biggies out there. Now, regarding your own lives and standing on your own 2 feet and making your own decisions in life, I am fully aware that you are scared. And I say this because I know that most people I'm talking to, even those that are successful, do have or they should be at least have a heightened sense of reality going on in their head as to what they're about to do, but also realize that you've got to step forward. And it fascinates me because after first few seconds that I've walked out on stage, the anticipation, the anxiety, worrying about if the audience is going to like me or not, I realize, and this is the important part, that we are all in this together. And I realize we're all actually working together to make the night that I am performing great. I don't think people want to spend money, and this is where sometimes I falter. I don't think they want to spend money to see me fail.
You know, when I read that in the chapter, because you talk about the fact that you go out on stage and you do still have, which I think people would find astonishing, you alluded to it a moment ago, you still get nervous before you go on stage. And Rick, when you're on stage, you are like the poster boy for confidence. I mean, you look like you own and rule the world. There's nobody could even think that maybe in your head you're going, huh, help me. But I've never thought about it until I read it in the chapter. You're right. The whole audience is pulling for you.
They're pulling for me.
I never thought about that.
And they don't
it's true.
Want to see me fail. They want to see me succeed.
Sure, because you are in it together. They came to see a great show. So it's like, Rick, give us that great show. You can do it.
That's right, Rick. Don't fail me.
Yeah.
Don't fail me. So you have an audience out there. They've spent their money. They're looking forward to be entertained. And you then on the other side need to give them everything that you've got. But the hard part is just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the factor is, but you know, unless you want to go to a car race and want to see the cars crash at some point, for some reason, half the race is seeing the cars get beat up.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I believe really the audience, they're in your court. They want to give you everything that they've got in return. And you should look forward to being part of their life rather than frightened of them.
You can apply that to pretty much any job. Now, there's always going to be that one person at the job that's hoping everybody else looks bad. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the majority of everybody at your job wants you to do well today because it impacts them. And we don't think about that because we do feel alone an awful lot. And maybe that's because we don't compliment each other enough. We don't communicate enough. We just don't communicate enough nowadays, I think. That's part of it. In
my conversations on the radio this last week, I was talking about the different points that Sylvester Stallone had figured out in his life. It took him his entire life to figure this out, he says. Goodness. And he shared it very quickly. And I sat there before Saturday's show and I pondered some of the things that he wrote. And in fact, I'm trying to desperately bring them up so that I can read some of them to you. But I'll tell you one of them that I found that was fascinating. And one of them is when you come across somebody who is better than you, do not compete with them. That means if they're better than you in some way or form in something that you are not, the worst thing to do is compete. You should embrace and work with them rather than against them. I like that. And I thought that was a big deal because so often we find ourselves in a situation where somebody is a little bit more talented than we are in some way or form. And you turn around and try to compete with them and it blows up in your face. Oh, totally. But you should accept their talents. You should accept who they are and embrace who they are. And then become better yourself as well and join forces rather than to compete. Yeah, learn from them. Yeah, that's what he said. No, that makes perfect sense. He said, I did find, by the way, I just found this. He says, cool. Life waits for nobody. Get up every day and push through it. And I remember a conversation I had with David Copperfield. And David said to me, he says, Rick, I just want you to remember in life, no one ever came knocking on my door. Oh, boy. No kidding. Yeah. And that's Copperfield talking. Yeah. He says, just remember, you think that I have it all together. You think that everything's in my court. No one ever came knocking on my door. So
He made it
I
happen
appreciate
for
that.
himself. You've got to go and make it happen.
That's right.
Got to, yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many other things that I read that that were so much into what even this book is about, and that is to worry about yourself as much as you possibly can in following your dreams, and just realize truly we are in this together. Here's another one. This is my greatest statement, and I know I'm pulling from somebody else, and I know it's Rocky himself.
I know, but it's good stuff.
But listen to this. Listen to this. If you do not work to build your dreams, someone will hire you to build theirs.
Oh, no kidding. That's a good one.
I tell my cast members when I bring them into my show that these are my dreams. This is what I want to do. This is Rick Thomas. This is his life. Now, part of my life may be part of your dreams as well, but there'll come a time in your life where your dreams supersede what I'm doing because it's your life. It's not my life. And you need to follow your dreams. There's a point where maybe I can assist you. I can help you. I am a platform for you to better yourself. And in the process, when you figure yourself out and you realize who you are and you're comfortable in the skin that you're wearing, get out there and follow your own dreams. If you do not work to build your dreams, someone will hire you to build theirs.
And then at the end of the day, what do you have? You sit there and look at them and go, I wish I had what you have that I helped you build. And you're sitting there going, I don't have anything. No, we have to. And I think sometimes maybe people dream too big. They dream, and dreaming big is great. Don't get me wrong. But they dream to be on the top of Mount Everest. I talked to students about this. And if you dream to go from 0 to 100, if 100 is the dream, that's a huge leap. How about incremental? Because you did that. You started performing magic at home, and then you started doing table magic at restaurants.
Yes.
And which, is low scale. I mean, but my gosh, it was a step up from the kitchen, right?
It was very much so. And performing for family reunions.
Exactly.
It was a step up.
But if you had just been in Long Beach practicing your magic and saying, okay, next stop, Vegas, you never would have gotten to Vegas.
Oh, goodness. I mean, my book is about how I got to Vegas.
Exactly.
And when you read between the lines, you realize I started out in Long Beach. I then did close-up magic at restaurants through the Long Beach area. I, at a young age, actually, luckily, and I say this because the harder I work, the luckier you get.
Oh, no kidding.
I luckily was hired to be a performer at the Disneyland Hotel for 2 years. Beyond that, I began touring and doing fairs across the country. And then theaters. Then I was following a lead to present a show out in Guam. That is a territory of the United States, but that is very close to Japan and as far away from Las Vegas as you can possibly
Pretty
get.
much.
I'm out there scratching my head, sitting on an island in the middle of nowhere. How did I get here?
How do I get back?
And then what happened is I then went from that production, which allowed me to expand my show to make Rick Thomas who he is even to this day. That show in Guam allowed me to separate myself and learn who I am. And then the next step was Las Vegas. And I moved everything back there, and out of nowhere, everybody said, what? Where'd Rick Thomas come from?
But incremental steps that you could accomplish to get to the ultimate, the first really big goal for you, Las Vegas.
I was passing back and forth past Las Vegas for a very long time.
Without being able to stop.
just seeing it go by.
Just keep flying over it.
Vegas. Okay, I'm coming back through Vegas. Okay, there we go. Yeah,
and it's so funny because you grew up, 5 hours from Vegas, and you circumnavigated the world to get back to somewhere 5 hours from home, essentially. But that's what I'm saying. If you can't make goals that you can reach, like incremental steps, then you do get frustrated and just chuck it. So you've got to plan it. There has to be a master plan, even though plans go awry all the time and you've got to make left turns and right turns, but you've got to get incremental goals. I think that's what I'm saying. Sometimes people think way too big. I have students say, well, I want to be on the air in Los Angeles. Well, okay. Well, who doesn't? But you're not going to start here. You've got to go and work your way in. And a lot of them don't want to hear that. Well, I'm just going to wait for the job in Los Angeles.
Right.
Okay, well, that bus line doesn't run, so have a good life on the bus bench
That's
there
right.
because you're not going to get anywhere.
Nah. A couple more of those very special things that I learned this last week. One of those statements by Mr. Sylvester Stallone was, and this is a rough one to accept as well. And I think that as I share with you this chapter, I'm going to be very blunt about how I really believe all of us work together, live together, and find our own personal happiness. And his was, no one cares. And I repeat this again. He said, no one cares. Work harder to become better each day for yourself.
Yep.
Because no one cares. And I love saying I have friends as long as I'm buying.
But that's such a true statement, isn't it?
Okay, so I'm listening to, I'm saying that's extreme. And the reason why is we're all out there for ourselves. And I think that what I get out of it is, if you think you are pursuing your dreams because you want the world to think better of you, life is short. I was on the radio the other day saying that if I calculate my life just right enough, and live to the age where the average man does, I have about 8,000 days left in my life.
Yeah.
And when we start thinking in that process, you need to figure out what's going to make you happy. Not what you think other people are going to think of you.
No.
You've got to stop. You've got to, and look, I love if you want the fancy cars and you want the mansions, you want this and that, and you think in the long run the world really cares about that and it makes you that much more important than the next person next to you. I know you got to follow those dreams, but please be very careful, because in the long run, honestly, the person who needs to be happy is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it makes you happy, then that's great, because as Sylvester says it, no one cares.
Well, it's true. It really is. You have to find the things that make you happy. And sometimes they're not the things on the beaten path. They're not the things that maybe make other people happy. Maybe it's something really quirky. But you know what? If that quirky makes you happy, then that is the thing you do.
I have had a lot of thinking in my life as well. I've looked back on the career, and yes, we can chat about what Rick's done, where he's been, and all this and that. But I often sit here alone.
Alone's okay.
And I think to myself, really, honestly, what have I really done? I might have entertained a few people in the world and had some good times. But it really comes down to the end that it's really all about me and my relationship with myself. And my happiness has to come from me. I get the accolades. I think that's why sometimes I feel like I'm comfortable on stage, because I get what everybody wants, and that's attention.
And applause.
And I get that.
Recognition.
And we do. But when the lights go out and the curtain closes and the audience walks away, you're all by yourself.
Yeah. And you're just a guy named Rick.
You got to find your own happiness. And my frustration is, what am I going to do next? I'm just not doing anything. I'm just, even this morning before we did the podcast, I was sitting there having a bit of breakfast. And I thought to myself, should I get up and do something? Should I go up and do some work? I need to write this. I need to create a newsletter. And I sat there and I go, no, for 30 minutes, I'm going to do nothing.
Oh my gosh. You did nothing.
Because even though those 30 minutes are now gone, I wasn't really going to get anything done in life that's that important.
No.
So I'm just screaming and yelling this particular chapter to everyone out there to find your happiness your way and find it for yourself, because as Sylvester Stallone put it so eloquently, no one cares. I'm sorry, I laugh at it, but he's like very blunt. This is the last one he said, and I think that this is important to at least finish up what. And he said, "You're truly at peace with yourself when you mind your own business." Oh,
wow! How did he get so smart?
I don't know. He's Rocky.
No kidding, right?
I don't think Rocky had that kind of. Yeah, he said also ignore advice from anyone who doesn't live the life you don't want to live.
He's so right. Wow.
So I really appreciated it, and I shared it with all those people who listened to me on that Saturday morning from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. on my 100.1.
I love these. You slide right into that DJ banter so beautifully now.
Too.
Like it's natural.
at Mel's Hard Luck Diner Studios, right here in Branson, Missouri.
Oh my goodness, he's turned into
where
a
I get to
radio
play
star.
my music that I choose, Tammy, from the 80s, 90s, 2K, and today.
Except for that one Taylor Swift song.
Except for the one, too. Oh, I
got to get one jab in there, don't I?
Yeah. I hope people are really listening today and having a good time as we chat, because I just remember that we are, even though we're so alone, we really are in this together.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people in our lives that we need to realize that sometimes they are on the stage we call life.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we are on the stage. Now, we're all on the same stage, but sometimes someone's going to be up there and they're going to be noticed more than you. And then sometimes it'll be in reverse. So don't get too frustrated by saying, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I have no life, no one notices me, no one sees me. There's 15 minutes of fame for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And more people may notice you than you know.
Yeah.
That's something to think about, too. Sometimes we don't feel noticed, but it's amazing. Maybe people just haven't let you know they know you're there.
My life on the radio is exciting now because it's all about the magic of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the statements said constantly is, please, begging of you, go out there and share your story with the world. We all have a life. We're all important. We really, truly are. And you have stories to share.
Mm-hmm.
Share them with the world.
Mm-hmm. Still another podcast I want to do someday.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
What's that?
I have so wanted to just go to average people, not celebrities, to
Mhm.
just people, and say, tell me your story.
I agree with it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Another thing that blows my mind, when I was in college and I was taking history, I had I can't even say the word. Help me say it. Epiphany?
Epiphany. Epiphany. There you go.
Sometimes on the radio, I have to spell out the word before I even try to say it.
Okay, that's a hard one.
Okay. So I'm glad that you can say that word and I can't. Sometimes on the air, I have to spell out the word and say it. So I'm going to share with you something. I think this has happened this last Saturday, and one of our great musical stars in Branson, Clay Cooper, and he has a radio show in the morning on our sister station, and I come in and we kind of cross paths. And as I was walking past the door, he pulls me and he says, Rick, come in here now. I need to ask you a question. I said, you're on the air? He goes, yeah. And I said, first thing was, by the way, who's playing tonight at your theater? And they go, oh, the Haygoods. I go, good. Everybody listening to the radio, do not go to the Haygoods.
Oh.
Go to Rick Thomas. He's like, get off the air. I said, you asked me to come in here. I am here to sell my show.
There you go.
So he says, I want to ask you a question. He says, do you know what today is? And I go, no. He says, I'm going to ask you what this word is, and you got to tell me what it is.
Okay.
Okay. He says, escapology. That's what it says. He said,
Escapology.
what is escapology?
I have no
And I'm
idea.
thinking, I don't know what escapology. He says, you should as a magician.
Oh.
I said, how would I know what escapology is?
Oh.
And he goes, I'm thinking. And then he gives me the definition. And the definition is the capability of getting out of restraints, whether it be handcuffs or a straitjacket. And it was created when Houdini, it was a day given when Houdini did his first straitjacket escape.
Right.
And he says it's escapology.
Escapology.
Okay, so I'm massively confused. I'm going, this is ridiculous. How come I don't know this? How come I as a magician of the world can't figure out this? So I go into the studio and I've got my guy working with me on the boards. And I said, would you look up this word for me? Because I don't know what escapology is, and I should because I'm a magician. It's all about magicians actually able to getting out of tight places, whether it be straitjackets or handcuffs or chains or whatever it is. And he goes online and goes, Rick, it's actually escapology. I said, what? He says, it's ESCAPOL, something to that effect.
LOGY.
Escapology.
Escapology, which makes perfect
and I'm like,
sense.
so I even on the air, I said, if you guys want to be led in the wrong direction and lied to and thwarted in any way or form, go see Clay Cooper's show because he'll send you in the wrong direction. If you want the truth, come to Rick Thomas's show. And I slam him on the air because he said it the way he thought he saw it, which was escapology.
Yeah.
This is really hard to say, and that's why I'm talking about communicating on the air.
Oh,
Sometimes I have a problem with the very words. And he says, if he would have said escapeology.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah.
I would have figured it out.
Of course. It's easy.
Right?
Oh,
and
goodness.
so I shared with him another funny story. Is one of my dancers, we were in Guam, that amazing island out there that made me who I am today, so to speak. And she came in and she goes, I don't understand. I drive past this building every day and I can't figure out what it is. I just don't get it.
Okay.
I just, would you please help me? And I said, sure. She goes, so we're driving down the road and we're coming into the theater and I see this building and it says Episcopal. And I go, Episcopal? Episcopal. What's
Oh,
Episcopal?
no.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You mean Episcopal?
Yep. Oh, my goodness.
I said, it's a church. She's like, poor thing, she's like 19 years old and she's just wet behind the ears and she's learning about, I don't get it. What's Episcopal?
Episcopal.
And I remember that. And that's exactly what happened with Clay and his escapology.
Oh, my God.
And throwing me under the bus on the radio. And I not having a clue about he was talking about.
Oh, my goodness. I can't even say it that way again. Escapade.
Yeah,
I can't say it.
So anyway, as far as history goes, now that was way off the track, right?
But it was great.
But I hope everybody's been thoroughly entertained on this podcast today. But regarding history, okay, I realized that for the billions of people who have come and gone on this earth, very few of us make it into the history books.
So true. Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking a few. Yes, you can say there are hundreds and thousands of history books, but it doesn't matter. For the amount of people who have, and this is the important part we're talking about today, who have a story to share, which is everyone. Very few of our stories are heard. And you just think about the people who have been on this earth who literally, you don't even know they existed, right?
They came and they left.
And I was just sitting in history going, wow. I'm in history class, and in reality, I don't know too much about history. Yeah. There's not much here.
There isn't.
I'm not going to be the Napoleon Bonaparte. I'm not going to be the next president of the United States. I'm not, whatever it is, and however you get into the history books, I just found that sometimes we feel small and we feel alone. And for this reason, that's kind of why I wrote this small chapter to just basically say, remember, we're in this together. Yep. Remember that you are not alone, that you need to step out there, put one foot in front of the other and do your very best. You'll just be fine. I promise you, you'll be fine.
That's true.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.